station, your voice. All things Cayman, one radio, many people. This is home.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
For the Record, proudly brought to you by
Coca-Cola, available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga Distributors. Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. Brand Source Home Gallery, inspiring luxury. West Bay Pharmacy, taking care of your health. And JN Money.
From abroad to yard.
Fast, affordable, convenient. Doctor's Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctor's Hospital, always there for you. Call 949-6066.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Coming to you live from Radio Cayman Studio.
For the Record.
For the Record. For the Record. Hear from your government officials, independents, and the opposition on issues that matter to you. For the Record. Engage in an open dialogue between residents and lawmakers.
For the Record.
For the Record. For the Record. Informative, impartial, insightful.
This is your talk show.
1-800-534-8255. Your calls, your input. This is For the Record. And now, your host, Orrett Connor.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, O land of soft, fresh breezes and verdant trees so fair. Today is Wednesday, the first day of February 2023, right here in the beautiful Cayman Islands. We hope and we trust that everyone had a restful, peaceful, enjoyable evening. Again, those of you who are on the roads of the Cayman Islands, whether you're a pedestrian, a cyclist, or operating any type of motorized vehicle, we urge you to please, please, please be extremely cautious. Ensure that you observe the rules of the road and the courtesies that are included in those rules of the road as well. If you do so, then the life you saved this morning may just be your own. Remember to use your turn signals whenever you're changing lanes or whenever you are turning off. Use your turn signals early to give the drivers behind you or all the drivers around you sufficient time to know exactly what you are doing as well. And of course, when you're negotiating a roundabout, you need to use your indicators as well. And of course, if you're driving in the darkness, drive on low beam, use your high beam when there's no oncoming traffic. And if you need better visibility, but remember to dim them if you know where the dim switch is, to dim them when with oncoming traffic as well. And again, not a bad idea for someone, and they may say, well, why don't you do it? Well, thinking about it, but pretty busy. To establish some sort of road safety council here in the Cayman Islands. We know that we had one. Whether or not it is still active is another question, but it certainly would help as well. So we want to do that as well. For those of you who are celebrating a birthday today, and we understand that many persons are celebrating their birthday today, we want to wish you a happy birthday. Or if you celebrated one over the past few days, a belated happy birthday to you as well. And to remind you that a birthday shout-outs on For the Record are proudly brought to you by life insurance agent Michael Webster from Cayman Insurance Center, who reminds you to make the right decision for your family's future today. So, For the Record, birthday shout-outs brought to you by Michael Webster from Cayman Insurance Center. Make the right decision for your family's future today. For those of you who have lost loved ones, again, we want to extend our sincere condolences to you. We hope and we trust that your faith will help to carry you through these extremely challenging times, and that the memories of your loved ones will be a blessing to you as well. Those of you who are ill and are either at home or at a medical facility here in the Cayman Islands or overseas, we wish you a speedy recovery. So, Folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman and by extension For the Record into your homes, into your vehicles, as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, wherever that may be. As you know, For the Record is a show produced by the staff and management of Radio Cayman, and it is geared towards keeping you abreast of issues as they arise and play out on the local, regional, and international scene. I'm your host, Orrett Connor, and you're welcome to join me every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7:30 a.m. until 10 a.m. During that period, our phone lines are open. Beautiful radio voice of Miss Susan Watson waiting to take your calls. You can call us on our toll-free number provided courtesy of Flow. That toll-free number, 1-800-534-8255. You can also call us on 949-8037 and 949-6990. Email us at fortherecord, one word, fortherecord at candw.ky. WhatsApp us 925-3261. Where you can send us a text message or leave us a voice note, the contents of which will be played during the course of the show. Or you can just simply follow us on YouTube. You do that by subscribing to Radio Cayman live stream. And, of course, we are on Facebook as well. Before we go to the birthday greetings this morning, I want to remind you, those of you who have an interest in compliance, we know that here in the Cayman Islands, as one of the world's major financial centers, that the whole issue of compliance is extremely important. It is a growing field as well, and from what I'm hearing, it may be quite lucrative also. So at 8:15 after the 8 o'clock news this morning, we will have in the studio with us Miss Kimberly Smith, who's the founder and co-owner of Silo Compliance Limited. She will be here to talk about compliance, and I'm made to understand that compliance officers, they love the lady simply because of her knowledge, her experience, and her expertise as well. So if you have an interest, or if you know someone who may have an interest, then tell them that they should tune into Radio Cayman. Either do that through YouTube or Facebook, and we will be taking calls at some point in time during the show as well. Meanwhile, birthday greetings. So we're going to start with those who have been around us for some time, and we have birthday greetings going out to, okay, I want to make sure that I get this right. Birthday greetings going out to Aunt Rena Alexander in Bordentown, who is 106 years young today. The family, they want to thank God for the many blessings He has bestowed, and they were all praying that she has a wonderful day as well. So she is Miss Rena Alexander, 106 years old today. And the greetings are coming from her nieces and nephews, the Minzets, and the Solomon family as well. So there is some debate between 106 and 107, but they're happy to leave it at 106, for now as well. So Miss Rena Alexander, happy birthday, happy 106th birthday to you today. Also, at 104 today is Miss Ina Connor of East End. She's 104 years of age today, and birthday greetings coming from Graham, Lord Graham Ranking, and his family as well. Miss Ina Connor, 104 years old today. Then this one now, I had this one from last week, Wednesday, I believe it was. So I want to make sure, was it? Yeah, it might have been last Wednesday. I want to make sure that we give a big shout out to Miss Marva, who is celebrating her birthday today as well. 1st of February, Miss Marva celebrating her birthday. We are also advised that the Minister, the Honorable Bernard Bush, is celebrating his birthday today as well. I'm switching from device to device to make sure that I capture all of them. Minister Honorable Berna Bush, it's his birthday, 1st of February. Greetings coming from his mother, Sugar V, and sisters as well. So, happy birthday to Honorable Berna Bush. Okay, more to come, folks. More to come. Let's get them all. Let's see. So, we have, and well, Miss Lanaway, we're going to mention you, but we have one here coming from Miss Charlene Pert. She's wishing you a happy birthday and belated 100th birthday to Mrs. Frida Lazari from her family as well. Miss Frida Lazari, belated happy birthday, 100 years old as well. So we have to find now the other ones, the WhatsApp ones. Looking for them, Miss Susan. Looking for them. Shouldn't have. We don't want to have any silence on the phones, on the radio. We always want to be able to say something as well. And Ms. Susan, I'm going to ask you to send that, the Facebook. But we know Miss Laname Smith is celebrating her birthday. Okay, so it's about that. Still try. So celebrating a birthday today is Mr. Joseph Anglin, Miss Elizabeth Whitaker, Mr. Kevin Jennings, also celebrating a birthday today. Barbara Wilson, I think I may have mentioned her before, but we will mention Miss Barbara Wilson again. And of course, you know, Miss Laname Smith, we're going to give her a repeat birthday shout out as well. So if you know someone who's celebrating a birthday today, or they may be celebrating one tomorrow, because we won't be on until, again, God's willing, on Friday, you may want to send that information to us. And we want to thank all of those who participate in the birthday shout outs. And of course, we want to thank our sponsor. The For the Record birthday shout outs proudly brought to you by life insurance agent Michael Webster from Cayman Insurance Center, whose advice to you is to make the right decision for your family's future today. Okay, yes. Today, the Wednesday, the 1st of February, marks the 66th anniversary of the birth of Dennis Brown as well. Dennis Brown, the great Jamaican entertainer. Huge reggae man as well. Yes, there was an excerpt in yesterday's Jamaica Gleaner in relation to that as well. Folks, time for us to take a commercial break. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back after this short commercial break.
The Cayman Islands boasts of a long, colorful, and rich history. In tribute to our roots, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Historical Vignette Series, brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. The Cayman Islands, He hath founded it upon the seas.
In 1773, George Gall spent 10 days in and around Grand Cayman, creating the hydrographic survey of Grand Cayman based on the first survey made by the Royal Navy and what is now well known as the Gall Map. For 17 years, from 1764 to 1781, George Gall, a Scots surveyor, charted the waters of the Gulf Coast off British West Florida. Along with approximating the population at around 450 persons, Gall made several other observations, including that the inhabitants may truly be said to live in a state of nature. The women are numerous, and those who are natives of the island have a modesty in their looks and a decency in their behavior, not always to be met with between in the tropics. George Gall was elected to the American Philosophical Society in 1774, and his surveyor's tools and his map appear on the stamp of the Cayman Islands issued in 1989.
Radio Cayman's historical vignettes was brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
It's all about humanity.
It will be Saturday, March 4th, the 11th annual Rotary Central Health Check, the almost island-wide Rotary Health Screening. See us at Foster's Republic's West Bay, Cost You Less at Governor Square, West Bay Road, A.L. Thompson's Georgetown, Foster's at Countryside in Savannah, Bordentown, from 10 a.m. through 2 p.m. Take advantage of a free mini-medical, a physician's check on your blood pressure, your A1C, your cholesterol, your blood sugar, your healthy weight evaluation, and more. The 11th Annual Rotary Central Health Check in conjunction with the Health Services Authority. Saturday, March 4. Save this date that could save your life. Rotary, all the good you imagine.
West Bay, home to Barkas National Park, the touristy flair, a family community, a political powerhouse. From sports enthusiasts to car aficionados, affection for silver thatch rope. No matter how far you may venture, West Bay will always be where the heart is. Home will always be in West Bay. West Bay Pharmacy, caring for your home and your family. West Bay Pharmacy in Centennial Towers. Convenient, quality care is just around the corner.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay.
No one can stop me when I taste the feel.
Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice-cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, Cayman.
At Doctor's Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctor's Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
They say you only live once. I say you only die once, but you live every day. I'm Michael Webster from Cayman Insurance Center, longtime supporter of Radio Cayman. Live your life, my friends. Happiness is in the journey, not the destination. When you're ready, I'm here to support you with the best financial decisions for your family's future. Cayman Insurance Center, protecting you and your family so you can take back your future. I'm Michael Webster, the sure way to protect your family. Call me when you're ready at 925-5433. Don't take chances with your family's future or your valuable assets.
Think life insurance.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the record.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. No guests in the studio yet. But let me remind you that if you have an interest in compliance, in the discipline of compliance in the Cayman Islands, then we are going to have Miss Kimberly Smith, who's the founder and co-owner of Silo Compliance Limited. She's here in the Cayman Islands. I am reliably informed that she is loved by compliance officers because of her knowledge, background, and experience. So if you are involved in compliance, know a friend or a family member, an acquaintance, whomever who may have an interest, we urge you to have them listen in after the 8 o'clock news this morning. We will have Miss Kimberly Smith from Silo Compliance Limited in the studio with us. Meanwhile, we have another birthday greeting going out to Miss Ina Connor, and coming from Vernice and her family, and they pointing out that they love you as well. We also have some a birthday recognition, which would have been yesterday for Miss Althea Powell, 100 years old, and this was posted on by Minister and Member of Parliament, Honorable Andre Ebanks, and he posted and said, "Such a pleasure to take time yesterday to convey birthday wishes to Miss Althea Powell on her 100th birthday. God bless as well." So, many of our Caymanians are living for long years, and we hope that that will continue as well. I remember an article in one of the Tradewinds newspapers where Mr. Willie Wood, who was the reporter for Bordentown at that time, I think he wrote an article about people in Bordentown living the longest in the Cayman Islands, but I'm sure that there would be some who would challenge that assertion as well. We do have a caller, and I'm going to take that caller in the event that I don't get the opportunity to share this with you, because I think it's quite important, even though there are some people who want to tell us, and I guess they'll tell us like how David Cameron told the Prime Minister of Jamaica, we need to move on. But there's a story in the Jamaica Gleaner yesterday. Church of England sheds light on shameful slave trade ties. We know many people don't want to talk about that, including the descendants of slaves who don't want to talk about the slave trade. But we need to take an example from the Jewish people and the Holocaust, and they have said never again. And they continue to remind people, and they continue to push those here in the Cayman Islands, those throughout the Caribbean and the world who, even in the United States, who are pushing for reparations. Do not be deterred by the naysayers. Slavery had a tremendous impact on those persons who were affected by it. So the conversation needs to continue as well. Let's grab the caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm pretty good. Thankful. Mr. Connor, this morning I am calling in regards on behalf of the port at the Royal Pier.
Uh-huh.
Well, we as taxi drivers are parked down there for the cruise ship passengers. Mr. Connor, the grounds of that port it is filthy. It is being walked into our vehicles. We have to clean our vehicles every day, regardless of that ground or not that ground. You understand? The stuff that that's being picked up on the visitor shoes into your car is unbelievable and is unreal and should not be happening.
Has anyone spoken to port employees, port director, deputy director, any supervisor there?
Mr. Connor, I understand there's a road piece being said here and being said there. And we've not seen anything being done to a degree that it is looking immaculate for us to come down and walk and pick up our visitors. We got to skip over water that is trying to get to a drain and all that kind of stuff. And like I tell the taxi drivers, I say, you all can come here and sit and complain about it, but yet you all want to pack up and go down there and find a higher man and say that this is not fair to us, it is not fair to the visitors. Now, Mr. Carter, it is a cargo port now, don't get me wrong.
Yes.
But the fact of the matter is they are using it for the cruise ships as well. And it's only more than fair that after they do what they have to do there is to get it flushed down or watered down before morning. After those guys have finished work, what time, I don't know.
Yeah.
And it's like every day, Mr. Connor. I got people
And
on my phone.
the National Roads Authority does have at least one road sweeper. They could engage that. Now, tell me something. Does the taxi, do they have an association and someone heading up that association who can advocate for you all?
Mr. Connor, I can't answer that question. I really can't, because I think out here is more all jack in a box and no balls. You see, if you know where I'm coming from. Nobody is really bringing this forward to say that this has to be cleaned up. It needs to be more presentable, and the stuff that we drag into our cars on a daily basis is really uncalled for. I'm going to send you some pictures right now on WhatsApp with your Radio Cayman WhatsApp, and you can take a look at what I'm talking about.
Okay.
But I'm just saying this here to hope that somebody in the Port Authority is listening, that we need this place cleaned up. So when we come down there, they can tell us our cars are going to be clean, and we clean our vehicles, but yet when we go down there, our first trip is a disaster to go for another trip.
Okay.
And when I send you some pictures, you see what I'm talking about. So I'm hoping someone's listening and get that port cleaned up.
Thank
That's
you.
ridiculous.
Thank you very much. We'll look at those as well, and we'll continue to highlight it. But my advice also would be seek someone out down there at the port. I'm not sure what presence, whether or not the head offices are down there or whether or not they're up at the other center, the depot. But seek someone out or someone who can relay the information on. I'm sure somebody's listening, and the information will get out there as well. Thank you very much for that caller, folks. Top of the hour, the 8 o'clock news. When we return at 8:15, we will have Miss Kimberly Smith from Silo Compliance Limited in the studio with us. If you have an interest or know someone with an interest in compliance, have them tune in as well. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. And studio time now by Foster's is 7:59.
When you're on the go, the experienced team at Foster's Pharmacy are here to help. Drop off your prescription while you shop or WhatsApp us and we'll prepare it, ready for your arrival.
Whether you need prescription or over-the-counter medications, blood glucose testing, or advice on vitamins and supplements, we're here early in the morning to late at night. Both of our locations at our Camana Bay and airport stores are open 7 a.m. to 9 p.m., Monday to Saturday.
For more info, visit fosters.ky/pharmacy. Foster's Pharmacy. Better health because we care.
The voice of the Cayman Islands.
89.9 FM in Grand Cayman and 93.9 FM in Cayman Brac and Little Cayman.
Silver wings shining in the sunlight.
Radio Cayman.
The 8 a.m. FM News is brought to you by ValueMed Pharmacy. Save time and order your prescription refills online at value-medpharmacy.com. VALU-medpharmacy.com.
For today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
With your latest news, I'm Carsley Fuller. 20 illegal migrants are repatriated back to Cuba on Tuesday. Customs and Border Control says the 15 men and 5 women included 2 minors, leaving on a chartered Cayman Airways flight from Grand Cayman at 8:15, arriving in Cuba 45 minutes later. Among the group were 6 who were processed under recent amendments to the Customs and Border Control Act, which expedites the processing of migrants who are, quote, clearly unqualified for protection under the 1957 Convention on Refugees and its 1967 protocol. The group also included a man who had served time in Northward Prison for criminal offenses. There are currently 3 migrants who've been remanded to Northward for escaping lawful custody from the CBC detention center. At Cabinet's January 25th meeting, they approved a 1-year extension of a coastal works permit for the construction of a dock in Cabana and South Sound. They also rubber-stamped an agreement related to the closure and transfer of road reserves in Cayman Brac, along with the purchase of a new road parcel. Cabinet approved the leasing of part of the former Cayman Motor Museum for a multi-use exhibition-based purpose, and the purchase of land in Georgetown for the creation of a new wellness community park. Cabinet also gave the green light for a $2.7 million increase for the budget item land purchases in the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Other increases were approved, including just under $200,000 for teaching tertiary level professional and vocational programs for both 2022 and 2023, as well as a $1.3 million increase for prison custodial services. Cayman's leaders also approved an employee honorarium that totaled $28,000 for the Children and Youth Services Foundation. Finally, Cabinet also gave the green light for the creation of a strategic outline business case for a cargo port development project and the development of its outline business case. The Accountants Amendment Act 2022 and 2 regulations that support its provisions will come into effect today. Financial Services and Commerce Minister, the Honorable Andre Ebanks.
These amendments, which originated from SEPA proposals, are in line with government's strategic broad outcome of improving our financial services as an industry product and economic driver for our islands.
The Accountants Amendment Act is supported by the Application for Membership Regulations and the Disciplinary Regulations. Collectively, these legislation allow the Cayman Islands Institute of Professional Accountants to continue their oversight functions of the local practices of accounting.
Our ministry continues to and other stakeholders to ensure that the accounting regulatory regime remains clear, sensible, and fair in its oversight of practitioners.
The regs support the local adoption and practice of new international standards for quality management regarding audits, reviews of financial statements, and other assurance or related service engagements and engagement quality reviews. And Hazard Management Cayman Islands recorded a small tremor around 2:30 this morning. Director Danny Coleman tells Radio Cayman the 4.4 magnitude quake was approximately 75 miles east-southeast of Cayman Brac. There were no recorded felt reports from the light tremor. She says while this was a non-event, it's a good reminder to be prepared.
Of course, hazard management are very, very much here to help, be it sensitization, presentations, drills in schools or in businesses, and also helping with your evacuation plan should there ever be a tsunami scare.
For more information, you can head to caymanprepared.gov.ky. Now with a check of international news, here's the BBC, which will take us out of the newscast. I'm Carsley Fuller.
BBC News with Jerry Smith. Pope Francis has called for peace at an open-air mass in the Democratic Republic of Congo. The Pope urged Christians engaged in conflict to lay down their arms and forgive each other. 4 mortar shells have struck the Somali capital Mogadishu ahead of a regional summit there. The leaders of Kenya, Ethiopia and Djibouti are discussing their joint offensive with Somalia's government against al-Shabaab militants. Security officials in Ukraine have searched the home of one of the country's richest men, Ihor Kolomoisky. The raid is believed to be part of an investigation into possible financial crimes. There have also been searches at Ukraine's tax office. Russia has warned that any long-range missile systems received by Ukraine from its Western allies won't deter it from its objectives. Reports say the latest package of US military aid to Ukraine may include such missiles. Inflation in Pakistan has risen to its highest rate in almost 50 years. In January, inflation rose to above 27% as the country's economic crisis continues. BBC News.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by ValueMed Pharmacy. Save time and order your prescription refills online at value-medpharmacy.com. VALU-medpharmacy.com. Did you know that ValueMed Pharmacy has a free online prescription service? Managing your health and medical requirements has never been easier with ValueMed. Simply visit value-medpharmacy.com. That's VALU-medpharmacy.com and click the Refill Prescriptions tab on our website. Fill in the information for new prescriptions or refills and choose your preferred pickup location. ValueMed on Walkers Road or Town. Then bring in your original prescription from your doctor when picking up. There's no need to stand in line and wait for your prescription. Save time and pick up prescriptions at your convenience by visiting value-medpharmacy.com. That's VALU-medpharmacy.com.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman with the latest up-to-date, accurate news and information. For your convenience, the headline news will be repeated on our sister station, Breeze 105.3 FM, weekdays at 8:30 a.m. Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or download the Radio Cayman app in the App Store or log on to www.radiocayman.gov.ky and stay connected to what's happening in the community. Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
At Kirk's Home Center, we can make your life much better. We got it all together. We got a great deal in store for you. From cookware to stereos, from power tools to plumbing supplies. Yeah, we got the best goods with the best price and a service to make you smile. At Kirk's Home Center, we got a great deal in store for you.
The 8:12 a.m. weather report brought to you by CG Britcay, where people come first.
Good morning. Let's take a look at the very latest weather report. Current temperature is 78 degrees. Relative humidity is 88%. The barometric pressure 30.07 inches and rising. The wind is out of the east at 5 knots. Overnight low temperature was 75 degrees. Synopsis indicate moderate winds and seas will continue across the Cayman area for the next 24 hours as an anticyclone moves over the western Atlantic Ocean. Radar images show isolated showers mainly south of the islands moving towards the west. Now the forecast for today calling for partly cloudy skies with a 20% chance of showers. And temperatures today will be in the mid-80s. Winds will be easterly 10 to 15 knots with higher gusts, and seas will be moderate with wave heights of 3 to 5 feet. Tonight, partly cloudy skies with a 20% chance of showers, and temperatures dipping to the mid-70s tonight. Winds will be east to northeast at 10 to 15 knots. Seas will be moderate with wave heights of 3 to 5 feet. High tide will be this morning at 8:23, low tide this afternoon at 2:35, and a high tide again tonight at 7:37. The sun will set this evening at 6:17 and will rise tomorrow morning at 7. And the outlook is calling for similar weather conditions through Friday morning. That's the very latest on your weather report.
Head east on Cove Road. Sharp left on Church Street. Sharper left. No, your other left. Did I say left? Nope, you missed it. Okay, I'm lost.
With money-saving bundling options for home and motor, we're like a GPS that doesn't steer you wrong. CG Britcay. Good like that.
Let's stop and ask for directions.
The 8:12 a.m. weather report brought to you by CG Britcay, where people come first.
During these unprecedented times, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Cayman Strong Series. The Cayman Strong Series is brought to you by OnCourse Cayman. Visit oncourse.ky to view a full list of wellness services and their qualified team. OnCourse Cayman, health, wellness, and happiness.
Change your thinking, change your life.
Inspire others to bring out the leader in you.
By the words of motivational speaker and author Simon Sinek, author of Leaders Eat Last, Why Some Teams Pull Together and Others Don't. If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader.
Change your thinking. Change your life.
During these unprecedented times, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Cayman Strong Series. The Cayman Strong Series is brought to you by OnCourse Cayman. Visit oncourse.ky to view a full list of wellness services and their qualified team. OnCourse Cayman, health, wellness, and happiness.
These days, feelings of loneliness, anxiety, stress, and depression can be overwhelming. Just know you are not alone. OnCourse Cayman offers private mental health services for children, teens, adults, and groups. Visit oncourse.ky to view a full list of wellness services and their qualified team. OnCourse Cayman, health, wellness, and happiness.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
Top of the morning to you. Let's take a look at traffic. Coming from the east, a lot of patience needed this morning as traffic is heavy coming off of Rex Creighton Boulevard and on Shamrock Road and continuing on to the Linford Pearson Highway. Busy traffic. Traffic is steady coming off of Bobby Thompson Way as well as off the Linford Pearson Highway on Agnes Way. Traffic on Cool Road heading to Georgetown is steady. Eastbound traffic on Cool Road is moving on moderately. Godfrey Nixon Way and Eastern Avenue, traffic flowing moderately as well. And coming from the West Bay four-way stop, traffic is flowing at a good pace. Downtown Georgetown on Edward Street, looking pretty good. Out of Georgetown on Shedden Road, moderate flow of traffic. Owen Roberts Drive, traffic is moving along light to moderate. That's what's happening on your roads. Join us again. At about 10 minutes after 12 o'clock, we'll give you another traffic report. If you see any accidents or incidents on Cayman's roads, give us a call here at Radio Cayman, 949-6990. You drive safe.
When you're craving something big, something tasty that gives you that lip-smacking satisfaction, something that hits the spot, there is nothing better than a footlong from Subway.
It's pretty tasty.
Filling and full of flavor. Try our new sweet onion steak teriyaki with a twist. Or the classic chicken teriyaki. Top it with green pepper, onions, cheese, and that sweet onion teriyaki sauce, all piled on your favorite artisanal bread. Satisfy that craving with a footlong from Subway.
Fresh, delicious, tasty, meaty.
Let's make it a meal with a drink, chips, and cookies. There is nothing better than a footlong from Subway.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
Tune in every Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. for Radio Cayman's Midday Newscast. Radio Cayman, the People's Station, your trusted official source for the latest news. The 12 p.m. news is proudly brought to you by Health City Cayman Islands. World-class healthcare within your reach.
It's all about humanity.
It will be Saturday, March 4th, the 11th annual Rotary Central Health Check, the almost island-wide Rotary Health Screening. See us at Foster's Republic's West Bay, cost you less at Governor Square, West Bay Road, A.L. Thompson's Georgetown, Foster's at Countryside in Savannah, Bordentown, from 10 a.m. through 2 p.m. Take advantage of a free mini medical, a physician's check on your blood pressure, your A1C, your cholesterol, your blood sugar, your healthy weight evaluation, and more. The 11th annual Rotary Central Health Check in conjunction with the Health Services Authority. Saturday, March 4. Save this date that could save your life. Rotary, all the good you imagine.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. You heard me earlier, several occasions, say that if you have an interest, or if you know someone who has an interest in compliance, that we're going to have a person in the studio who will be talking about that this morning. And it is my pleasure to have in the studio with me Miss Kimberly Smith, who's the founder and co-owner of Silo Compliance Limited. So we're going to ask Miss Kimberly to tell us a little bit about her background. I'm made to understand that she spent several years here in Cayman, then went on to London at one of Cayman's largest law firms as well. And we're going to ask her to talk about that and then tell us what led her to establish the company Silo as well. And then lots more that we will be talking about. We will have the phone lines open as well. Also, if you have any questions or comments and you don't want to be on live, then remember you can email us at for the record, one word, for the record, at candw.ky. You can WhatsApp us 925-3261, or if you're going to call in, our toll-free number 1-800-534-8255. You can also call us on 949-8037 and 949-6990. If you just want to watch us, follow us on YouTube. You do that simply by subscribing to Radio Cayman live stream, and we're on Facebook as well. So without any further ado, Ms. Smith, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Thank you for having me here. It's great to be here.
It's great to have you as well, hearing lots of good things about you and how you're much loved in the compliance industry as well. So
thank you.
Let's start talking about Cayman. And when you first came here, and then curious to know your impressions of how much Cayman has changed since you have left as well.
Well, as we were talking before the show, so I came to the Cayman Islands in 1994 for the very first time. I'm an American. I was living in San Francisco at the time, and decided to take a break from school, and I moved to Little Cayman and lived there for a year and a half, working as a waitress at the Hungry Iguana restaurant when it first opened. So I want to give a big shout out to everyone in Little Cayman and the BRAC, including the Conrad Martin family. I have lots of happy memories of having the Brackers come over to Little Cayman and be snorkeling and enjoying the restaurant at the Hungry Iguana. And I have lots of happy memories of a little tiny girl named Melody, who I realized she's probably in her 30s now from the Brack. I think it was Conrad's granddaughter, and they would all come over. So I just have lots of very happy memories of Little Cayman when it still had the grass landing strip and getting to know Cayman that way.
Great.
And it was fantastic. But after about a year and a half, it was time for me to, as I say, return to the real world. And I always had ambitions of going to law school. So I had studied finance in college, and I thought I was going to go on to law school. So I thought, well, let me get a job at one of these law firms. And I started working at Maples and Calder as a legal secretary. And it was just very basic secretarial duties and typing and filing and keeping the fax machines, paper going, because this was back in the late 90s. And then from there, just life takes, has its events and twists and turns. And next thing I knew, I was in their London office. And that's where I became a compliance officer. And that was back in 2007. And they asked me to take the job and or take on that responsibility, and I said no thanks, because I had already seen grown men cry, and I knew it was just a very hard job. And it was Charles Jennings at the time. He was the managing partner of the London office, and he was like, well, actually, this really isn't a request. You're going to be the compliance officer. And I was like, oh, okay. So had to roll up my sleeves, learn the job. I did get a certification from the International Compliance Association. So if anybody is interested in the compliance career, that is one of the very first things you're going to start looking at, is any kind of either ACAMS or ICA, any kind of training. I highly encourage, getting those certifications. They are not easy. And I did think, when I hear the word certification, I think it's just a quick little class, take maybe a quiz.
And you get your certificate.
Yeah, and you get a certificate and off you go. It was, the International Compliance Association certification. It was like a master's degree. It really shocked me. It was 9 months of very intense studying and, a 3 or 4 hour exam at the end. Very, very strict, pencils down. And so it's a serious career. It is, it's a very interesting career. And I'm kind of speaking to anybody who's thinking about that as a career. So yeah, take it seriously. It's not the admin job or glorified secretarial position that some people think it is. It's a lot of analyzing, and these days it's a lot knowing technology, project management, data analytics. You can grow as much as you want. You can get into the management side as well. It's a fantastic career, and if you can cut your teeth here in the Caymans, then you can take that career anywhere in the world. It's a fantastic job.
Okay, so when in 2007, when you were chosen, how has the industry changed since then in terms of choosing a compliance officer for a particular entity?
I think I was chosen. So first of all, I had grown into what we call the corporate administrator role. So I was doing the registers of directors, shareholders for a law firm, making sure that the companies that the firm provided services to were, caught up to date on fees and certificates of good standing, things like that. And that's also it's a great background too, because that helps you understand corporate structures, who owns the company and who's directing the company, who has controlling rights. So it's a great background to have as well. I think I was probably chosen because I was a very good administrative person. I was very well organized. I, had my files in place. But that was 2007. You look at the job now, and first of all, it was also very tick boxy at the time. Making sure I had the passports and the utility bills and the reference letters and things like that. And when you said compliance in 2007, people knew you were talking about AML, anti-money laundering compliance. You say the word compliance now, and it's AML is just a little bit of it. It's now data privacy, cybersecurity, it's governance, it's there's so much more to the compliance role, that term, now that it's way beyond AML, and AML is just a little bit of it. So, it's grown a lot, and it's just a very extensive role, and it's constant learning and constant changes as well. Lots of different expectations. Even what it was in 2018 and 2019, it's very different than what it is today.
Okay.
So you will never be bored in this in this career. Never be bored.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about your company, Silo, and what drove you to establish that company.
Yes, so it was, when I left London, so it was 2012, early 2012, whenever I left London, and I needed to get back to the States for family reasons. My mother had just passed away. My father was starting to have health issues, so I needed to be at least closer to the States. And I had been gone away from home for, by that time, almost 20 years. And so when I made the decision to be closer to the States, obviously a few people had heard that I was leaving, Maples, and I got a couple of phone calls from people from smaller firms saying, would I be interested in coming and helping them out with their compliance? And when I would talk to them, one of the first things they say was, we just need to sort it out, get us organized. And I remember thinking, well, there's, for a firm that size, you're going to be dealing with spreadsheets and electronic filing or physical filing. And that's when I realized there was nothing on the market for the small and mid-sized firms. Large banks, they have their tools. They have the Maples and the Walkers and the Applebees. They got their IT teams and big compliance teams. So they have the resources. But the smaller firms who have to comply with the exact same regulations as the big firms, but with a fifth or a tenth of the resources and staff, they had a real challenge. And I thought, this is kind of, an obstacle for these smaller firms. they need a system. And that's when I kind of realized there's no system out there for them. Especially for the non-banks. Like, financial institutions are very different than not, like the law firm, because they're not what we call transaction monitoring. They don't have to do, watch the transactions like, or am I spending more than $10,000 or depositing more than this? They don't have that transaction knowledge of their clients and customers. So they're really looking at, am I potentially serving the bad guy? Am I potentially helping somebody who's on a sanctions list? So it's a lot of reputational risk, both from, could I be associated with the bad guy and not know it, or the reputational risk of, am I not following the regulations as expected, and could I get fined, and am I doing any kind of breaches? Because the thing about compliance is that you could be having the cleanest customer base or client base, and yet not be following the regulations, and you can get a fine. So you don't have to be money laundering or assisting with money laundering to be fined. You could just not have your pieces of paper in order. You might not have the best compliance manual in order. So that's another aspect of compliance. It's very much about being able to document, analyze, and write. You must be able to write well and communicate very well and clearly. Yes.
Okay. So the can we go a little bit deeper into Silo? What you actually provide?
What the Silo? Okay, so it's a software system. It's the best way to. We are cloud-based now. You can sign up, and we can actually get you the system in about. It takes us now about 3 to 4 days, and then it takes me about an hour. I kind of work with our clients and kind of talk to them, find out about their risk appetite, what we call the risk appetite. Learn a little bit more about who their clients are, who they're serving, what they do, and then I configure the system for them. That usually takes me a couple of hours at most. And then I do the training. I'm teaching the corporate secretaries and the compliance staff and even the managers. This is how you enter the data and things like that. And what they're doing is they're taking their customer or their client, they're onboarding. They put that person into their system. There are some optional features, and one of the features is that it can just automatically do the screening, and that's screening against sanctions lists. So most people in the compliance world have heard about all the Russian sanctions now. I mean, that was a big thing in 2022, and will continue to be a big thing probably in the next few years. And so, like the Russian oligarchs, that were quote unquote legitimate businessmen 2 years ago, are now on sanctions lists. Anybody who has any kind of connection to Putin, and that is a political tool that governments use to try and get other governments to do what they want them to do. So they'll put these people on the sanctions list to make sure that their accounts get frozen and try and hurt them in any way economically, so that and they don't want somebody here in Cayman providing them with services and then opening up companies and things like that. So the system will automatically run the name and will alert you, this person's been on in a database. You got to look for it. Make sure you got to analyze it. You still have to analyze it, determine if it is your guy. Then that's where you would upload your what we call a KYC or due diligence. That's that copy of the passport, copy of their utility bill, whatever else you require. It will also risk rate them. So it will give you a number. And again, I work with each licensee to kind of make sure we're working on your risk appetite. We don't tell you that somebody from America is high risk. But if you think somebody from America is high risk, then that's your call. What industries they're in, what services that you provide. And that gives them a risk score. And then those names can get monitored as well. And there's an approval process. It logs all the different approval processes. And then also in the system, you can then run all your reports. Show me all my high-risk clients, things like that.
Okay, folks, we're going to take a commercial break. Just to remind you, in the studio with me, Ms. Kimberly Smith, who's the founder and co-owner of Silo Compliance Limited. When we return, we're going to talk a little bit more about compliance. And one of the questions that we have would be that if you have an anti-money laundering regulated business, why would you choose her company to do so as well? And then we'll talk about other things. And one issue that we also will be talking about is the whole issue of beneficial ownerships, as well. Huge decision that was made in the EU a few months ago, but at the same time, I believe that the UK still has an order in council waiting if we don't follow what they're telling us to do, and we can talk a little bit about that as well. So, folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
So much happening so fast, too much. It is hard for me to follow my health care instructions. The private counseling with West Bay Pharmacy literally saved my life.
At West Bay Pharmacy, we know how complex medications can be. Our pharmacists are delighted to offer you personalized one-on-one healthcare counseling, free medication review, therapeutic callbacks, and we will liaise with your physician to ensure you receive the best in quality medical care.
Quality of life has a whole new meaning with the right pharmacy to support you. Thank you, West Bay Pharmacy.
West Bay Pharmacy in Centennial Towers. Convenient quality care is just around the corner. Now you can WhatsApp your West Bay Pharmacy prescriptions to 516-0777.
60 and bossy with J and money. When I trip it easy, trust me. Yeah. Come on, just send some money. I instant entry. Look how you lucky. Bossy, J and money, bossy. J and money, send you go a yard. Bossy, Jamaica well bossy. 60 and bossy. We well proudy.
Celebrate Jamaica 60 with J and money for a chance to win a dream vacation for two to Jamaica, including airfare, resort stay, and more. Send money for a chance to win. Your loved ones will also be entered for a chance to win a brand new car. Competition runs from now until December 24th. J and money 60 and bossy enough.
Call 345-945-2014 for details. Available at J and Money locations across the Cayman Islands.
Bossy, Jamaica well bossy. 60 and bossy.
No J and bank account required.
Radio Cayman's Super Jam Show, the #1 drive time entertainment show on your radio. Enjoy a mix of pop, hip-hop,
dancehall, urban gospel.
The Super Jam Show is
brought to you by these kind sponsors.
The Cayman Islands Football Association, CIFA, building a better future for Cayman football.
Cayman Insurance Center.
Don't take chances with your family's future or your valuable assets. Call me today, Michael Webster, at 925-5433.
UWI Open Campus, on-site, online, and on demand.
Visit open.uwi.edu. Call them today at 946-8322.
Super Jam.
Also brought to you by Superior Auto Center. Do it right the first time with Superior Auto.
949-9570.
Or 525-9571.
Superior Auto. They keep your car in tune. Super Jam.
Also brought to you by
Yum School Lunch Program. Now available at selected private and public schools across Grand Cayman.
the #1 drive time entertainment show on your radio.
Super Jam.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the record.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. It is my pleasure to have in the studio with me this morning Miss Kimberly Smith, who is the founder and co-owner of Silo Compliance Limited. She is no stranger to the Cayman Islands. If you were listening earlier when we introduced her, she was first introduced to the Cayman Islands via Little Cayman and Cayman Brac.
And Great Guana.
As well. So no stranger here. So before we go to the question about why would I choose Silo, this area that we want to talk about now, sometimes it's quite emotive and can at times be quite controversial as well, because some persons may deem when we express ourselves that we're anti-expat, anti-work permit holder, and I always say, no, I'm pro-Caymanian rather than being anything as well. So we'd like to get your view on, and you've expressed some of it before, on compliance profession here in the Cayman Islands. Now, we know that complaints by Caymanians that people are coming here from overseas and taking compliance jobs, and that they are qualified to do as well. Do you have any views on that you'd like to share with us?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's such a big role right now. And if a company is bringing somebody in from outside of the islands, the only thing I can say is they know the systems, the technologies that they're using. They know their processes and procedures. They know their client base, and they kind of do know what they're looking for. And again, the compliance role is such a big and important role. It's not one you want to get wrong. You do not want to fail at compliance. I mean, it can ruin a business. It can ruin a career. You could lose your license to operate if you get it wrong. It is not the admin role. It's not the tick box role. There's a lot of analysis going on. You have to have a good gut instinct as well. You have to have the right personality. You have to sometimes be able to say no to your boss, and that can be very scary for some people. So it's not just the skill set, it's also the personality of the person and their strength and their confidence level. So they do know that. Now, if these are low level, I mean, I say low level, nothing's low level these days, but if it's kind of an entry level job, I do think it needs to be the Caymanians and getting that training so that they can learn that profession and everything that it involves. But we also have to understand, too, that a compliance officer at a law firm is going to be different than a compliance officer at a fund administrator and a compliance officer at a bank. Compliance officer across the industries are very, very different. So just because you have that compliance officer experience does not mean you might be suitable over in this industry. That's interesting.
That's important to know.
Yes, that's very important to realize. Like I said, I've got 15 plus years of experience in compliance. I know I am not qualified to be a compliance officer at a bank. I would be very much a entry-level compliance person if I went to a bank, because it's very, very different. They use the different systems. You have to understand, what's going on in the core banking system. What kind of reports are being pulled from that? What kind of reports can be pulled from that? And the transaction monitoring systems. I do not have any experience there. So just because I have 15 years of compliance experience in the AML world does not mean I am suitable to go to work at Scotia or RBC or something. But I might have more experience for the law firm side, or the asset manager, or the trust and corporate service provider, or trust company, or an accounting firm, or something like that. So it's a big role, and I think if there are people, like I said, I mean, companies at the end of the day, they don't want to spend money on work permits. There is that level of cost. So they want to bring in the qualified Caymanians, but they also don't want to put somebody at risk of being in over their head. So I do hope the larger firms are providing lots of mentorship and training programs to get the younger Caymanians and those who want to switch into the role. Because I don't think just because you're maybe 30s and 40 years old, it doesn't mean you're not suitable for the compliance. I think it's a great opportunity to get into that, because you might have some fantastic background,
and experience,
that you can apply to, like I was a waitress, in the serving industry, in the tourism industry. But I also know that means people can use the service industry as a way to launder funds, and because I know those processes and how the inventory worked and how the billing system worked and the cash register worked. So even older Caymanians who are thinking, I kind of want a career change, look into it. It could be that you're a good fit.
Now, I know you did give some advice earlier, but I'd like you to repeat that again. If someone wants to bring themselves up to that level in terms of compliance, some of the avenues that they can explore to go about doing that?
The first avenue is any kind of certification. There is ACAMS, that stands for Association of Certified. Sorry, I forgot what it stands for, but it's ACAMS, ACAMS.org is their website. The one that I went to, based in London, of course, they're now all over the place, and ACAMS is all over, was the International Compliance Association. I can't remember their website off the top of my head, but ICA was just Google International Compliance Association. There are lots of very good local compliance officers or compliance consultants here. They provide fantastic training. Karen O'Brien, Angela Mealy. Sorry, those are the only two that are coming off the top of my head. But I know others have also started their consulting companies as well. But they provide very good training locally. We are also even doing on Friday a compliance kind of training workshop. If anybody is interested in attending.
Tell us about that.
So we've got Karen O'Brien, Judith Watler, Keisha James coming together that morning and giving little sessions, 3 little presentations. Karen is speaking on the risk-based approach and risk assessments. Keisha James will be speaking on, sorry if I'm getting this a little bit wrong, forgive me, but I think she's speaking on the Beyond AML topic. And Judith is going to be speaking on enhanced due diligence in reporting. So you're going to get 3 very experienced local Canadian consultants speaking on the topic.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did a little Googling here real quick, and ACAMS, it says ACAMS is the largest international membership organization dedicated to fighting financial crime. Yes. We are committed to enhancing the knowledge and skills of our members, which include financial crimes detection and prevention, professionals from a wide range of financial institutions, regulatory bodies, law enforcement agencies, and industry sectors as well. Well, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
And it's expensive. What I would like to see is more companies, and maybe they already do this, give scholarships to go get your certification. Because it can be, I don't know if it's $3,000 or $5,000 or not, but it's expensive. And again, it's not just a simple certification. It's you study. You study hard. So it's very good. But if anybody's interested in just kind of sitting in and maybe learning from Karen and Judith and Keisha on Friday, you can email us at info@silocompliance.com to get sent some more information and how much it's going to cost and how you can attend. So that's this Friday morning from 9 to noon here in Cayman, live in person, nothing online there. Do we have one more minute?
Sure.
And then for those who are also maybe you just want to learn a little bit more, you can also join our I host a webinar series called AML Gray Matters.
Okay.
And it's called Gray Matters because I don't necessarily have all the answers. There's a lot of gray areas in compliance. There's a lot of areas that everybody's struggling, even the most experienced people are struggling with. And what I do in that webinar series is I have different guests, different speakers. So later on in February, I'm going to have a guy coming, and we're going to be speaking on cybersecurity, because cybersecurity is a big deal. When you are dealing with AML, you are dealing with people's personal identification information. That's PII. And if I had your date of birth, your address, where you were born, your full name, I could technically use that information for identity theft. So compliance officers, so cybersecurity is very, very important because you have to keep that data very secure. So we do talk on cybersecurity. Foster Davis from BreachBits, he's going to join us again later on this month to do a webinar on some of the latest cyber threats, because there's always a threat going on, how to keep that data safe. So we're not just talking about money laundering, we're talking about the whole aspect of the thing. Then we have Elizabeth Lees of Clarita. So shout out to her. She is here in Cayman as well. She's a regulatory attorney. And her firm, they just started last year. She's going to be talking on the mutual evaluation reports and methodologies and the changes for the next round. Every single country, the FATF, which is the Financial Action Task Force, they come down to every single country and they do what's called a mutual evaluation. And they're the ones ticking the box. They're kind of looking at your laws, your structures, your courts, the enforcement actions that country is doing, and they're the ones that determine.
I think we're on the gray list now.
Exactly. So we didn't do so well with the last one. So we are working hard to get off, from what I understand. And shout out to those in the government that are doing everything they can to get us off.
Very quickly before we go to the commercial break, and we have one caller as well. Would it be unusual for a company, depending on the size, having more than one compliance officer?
Absolutely. When I was at Maples, we had a whole bunch.
Wow. Okay. So we're going to take a commercial break. We have a caller on hold. Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
West Bay, home to Barkas National Park, the touristy flair, a family community, a political powerhouse. From sports enthusiasts to car aficionados, affection for silver thatch rope. No matter how far you may venture, West Bay will always be where the heart is. Home will always be in West Bay. West Bay Pharmacy, caring for your home and your family. West Bay Pharmacy in Centennial Towers. Convenient, quality care is just around the corner.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
Grand Cayman, the concert you've been waiting for is almost here.
Yeah, man, this is Graham Smarden.
The hottest pre-Valentine's ticket in town. Cayman Airways, the Ministry of Tourism, Palmyra Development, and Tortuga presents three-time Grammy Award winner Cramps Morgan. Cramps Morgan.
What I'm feeling.
Cramps Morgan.
If you give a little more than you take.
Cramps Morgan from the legendary band Morgan Heritage in a special up-close acoustic event. Also featuring James Geary, Terry Williams, D. Doctor, and more. 8 p.m. February 11th at the Mango Tree. This is an outdoor event under the stars. Tickets are $45 pre-sold. VIP tables available. Get online at CaymanEvents.co or at Mango Tree. Part of the proceeds to Meals on Wheels. Cramps Morgan in concert. Brought to you by Cayman Airways, the Ministry of Tourism, Tortugas Coca-Cola, Stoli, Florida Kanye, Jägermeister, Palmyra Development, The Mango Tree, Radio Cayman, CaymanEvents.co, and Loud Production. Cramps Morgan.
Tune in every Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. for Radio Cayman's Midday Newscast. Radio Cayman, the People's Station, your trusted official source for the latest news. The 12 p.m. news is proudly brought to you by Health City Cayman Islands. World-class healthcare within your reach.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, Miss Kimberly Smith. She is the founder and co-owner of Silo Compliance Limited here in the Cayman Islands. We do have a caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning. It's a very interesting subject this morning.
Thank you.
It seems to me that I guess Silo is sort of catering towards the what you could call the little man, little lady.
Absolutely.
More or less operation. But I wonder, does the guest think that this whole compliance apparatus, if you want to call it that, or process or whatever it is geared mainly towards the big man or the big woman?
Well, sorry. I think that's what people kind of think, that it's the big banks and the big law firms that have to do it, but it is the small firms that have to do it as well. And again, they have to comply with the exact same regulations and expectations of the big firms have to, but they have to do it with so much fewer resources. So I think you kind of asked me earlier, could there be more than one compliance officer? Absolutely, at a big bank. But a smaller firm, the compliance officer might also have other responsibilities. So you might not even have a full-time, that's all they do is for their role is the compliance. I have had to give, demos and training on Saturdays because the managing director of a very small organization was also the compliance officer. And so she was doing all her regular duties during the week, and then she was only doing compliance, on Saturday mornings. and she's like, I just can't think about anything other than my other duties, except for on Saturday mornings. That's when I come in and I do my compliance stuff.
Well, what I was getting at, but do you think that it is geared more to the benefit of the big, that is the compliance apparatus, the whole complete thing is geared more to the benefit of the big boys?
Are you talking about her company, Silo?
No, the whole compliance.
The whole compliance issue. Okay, got you. Yes.
Yeah. Well, when you use the word, it's being geared towards the big boys. I think when they probably wrote the regulations and some of the expectations, that's what they were thinking of, and they forgot about. They didn't consider so much the smaller firms and what this would. The burden it would put on them.
Yes,
and that's where people are struggling. And again, even going back to some of the technologies out there, some of these technologies are great, but they're so expensive, the smaller firms can't afford them. Or they won't even talk to the smaller firms because it's like, well, you won't even meet our minimums. Some of these technologies are saying, oh, well, you have to be onboarding 500 new clients a day, and some of these smaller firms, they're lucky to be onboarding 50 new clients a year, because maybe they're a very boutique firm and have a very limited, a long-term client base. So they're having to then do everything manually, while the big firms can rely on more systems and more automation. So it penalizes the smaller firms, these regulations, because they still have to comply with what the big guys, have to comply with, but with way fewer resources.
Well, okay, that's what I'm saying. And you use the word penalizing there, which I think is a very operative word. But let me ask you this. Do you go... you heard of the Mutual Legal Assistance Treaty?
I've heard of it. I'm by no means any expert of it.
Okay, they were in Roberts International Airport hijack by the international Cuban agents.
No, I'm not familiar with that at all.
Well, that's all connected, and it goes back to the wrecks at East End. But anyway, I missed the information that you had on your Saturdays, whatever you're calling them. I'd be interested in just the...
You mean the webinars that we're doing, or the training that we're doing on Friday? Sorry, is he still there?
Caller, you still there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what kind of information were you looking for?
No, I said I would be interested in your Saturday training or whatever.
Okay, it's Friday.
It's Friday training, yeah. If you email info@silocompliance.com, there's somebody monitoring that email right now, and he can get back to you and send you the information for Saturday. Okay. And if you're interested in just listening in on the webinars that we do once a month, again, just email that info@silocompliance.com with your name and your email, and somebody will get back to you with some more information.
Do you have a telephone number?
I do. I don't know if I want to. But that anybody who responds to you will have their phone number on the bottom.
Yep.
Yeah.
You can give it to the operator there and see it. He would pass it on.
Yeah. No, if you go to info@silocompliance.com, somebody will email me, and even if it's just me, if I get back to my emails this afternoon, I can email you back. And what's your name?
The name?
Yeah, what's your name?
The name is.
Am I allowed to just sorry?
We'll provide that. I'll provide that to our caller.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry about that.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Okay.
Caller, I want to thank you. Thank you very much
you.
for that. I think based on that and some of the questions that came out there, maybe we can talk a little bit then about because sometimes we hear it is said that even anti-money laundering regulated businesses here and probably elsewhere also regard anti-money laundering compliance as sort of a chore. And a costly one at that, and you mentioned that earlier. Is it fair? Is that a fair comment? Would you subscribe to?
Yeah, I mean, nobody wants to do compliance. I mean, no little girl grows up and says, "I want to be a compliance officer." I mean, I certainly didn't. That's for sure. And it's not the core business. You're not providing the legal. It's not something that you can generally charge for. So it's an overhead cost, and a very expensive overhead cost. I didn't even realize people are having to spend tens of thousands of dollars in legal fees to protect themselves. To get the lawyers to defend them whenever the regulators come in and say, "Oh, we found these things wrong." And sometimes they're having to fight back and push back a little bit and spend tens of thousands. So in those legal fees and documenting and maybe hiring new people or getting new systems. And it is a huge expense, and it can those expenses can run away from you as well. One example that I was made aware of last year, I was talking to somebody, and one of the things I always ask is how many customers or clients do you have, and they a few hundred, and then we were talking about the screening cost. Now, when I talk about screening, that's set against the sanctions list and things like that, which is very important because you have to monitor those lists. Our system monitors it every single night.
Okay.
So if somebody ends up on on that sanctions list tomorrow and they've been your client for the year, then they will be notified. But they were still screening over 10,000 names. And I was like, why are you screening that many names when your customer base is only about 300? They said, well, we can't figure out how to get them off. Of that monitoring. So you do have to watch those costs as well.
But it seems as if it's an ongoing educational process and an ongoing monitoring process as well. And that is why it is so difficult to like you said, do it manually as well.
Yes. Absolutely. And that's where I say you have to know information systems now. Back in when I started, knowing how to use, a spreadsheet or Microsoft Access, you could kind of manage the pieces of paper. Now there's so much more automation, and so you have to know those settings. So I was talking to somebody a few weeks ago. They were talking about, I get way too many what we call false positives. And so and she was not one of our users. She was with somebody else. And so I was trying to work with her and say, okay, well, what kind of settings do you have? And she's like, we have no way to change the settings. I said, well, that's your problem. You need to be calling that provider and finding out how you can change your settings. That said, there's cultural differences as well. So I'm going to use the name Mohammed. That's a Middle Eastern name. There's so many different variations of that spelling. But there's some great new technology. So I'll actually be looking at one when I return to the States. It's out of Israel, where it can start doing the phonetic checking. So if I was to type in the name Muhammad but used a different spelling than what's on the sanctions list, this particular technology will still help me find it, even though I've mistyped it. So I'm like, okay, that's something I need to look in. Even all the AI and machine learning that's going on right now. So the technologies that we're using today are going to be they're going to change in the next 5 years. This is a huge transition that's going on right now in the industry with the technology. So yes, you have to know the regulations, but you really have to know your technology too. And technology, you can't just rely on it. You can't just go, well, the technology is doing it. You need to control that technology. You can't have automation going out of control either.
Okay, we're going to take a break for headline news. When we return, we're going to go back to Silo. And based on all of these things that you're saying that you need to know, that you need to be doing, what does Silo bring to the table? What do you offer as well? Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
Today's biggest news.
Radio K-Man. Your voice, your choice. Local, regional, international. This is headlines from Radio K-Man's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
Hazard Management Cayman Islands recorded a small tremor around 2:30 this morning. The 4.4 magnitude earthquake was approximately 75 miles east-southeast of Cayman Brac. There were no recorded felt reports from the light tremor. Authorities in Western Australia say they have found a tiny radioactive capsule that went missing last month. Emergency services had, quote, literally found the needle in the haystack, they said. A huge search was triggered when the object was lost while being transported along an 870-mile route across the state. Authorities released a close-up picture of the pea-sized capsule, which could cause serious harm if handled on the ground among tiny pebbles. Pope Francis has celebrated one of his biggest masses in Democratic Republic of Congo's capital, Kinshasa. It is more than 37 years since a pope visited the mineral-rich but conflict-ridden country. Estimates say around 1 million gathered for the open-air mass on the second of the pontiff's 6-day visit to Africa. Around half of DR Congo's population is Catholic, the largest Catholic community in Africa. Those are your headlines. I'm Karsley Fuller.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio K-Man on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio K-Man app or log on to our website, radiokman.gov.ky.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio K-Man.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me is Miss Kimberly Smith, who is the founder and co-owner of Silo Compliance Limited here in the Cayman Islands. So we have a few WhatsApp messages here. This one says, morning, I'm listening to your guest about Caymanians getting into the industry. Unfortunately, Caymanians do not seem to get the same opportunities as she did by being able to move from a waitress job to working at a law firm. And the fact, so any comments on that?
Yeah, I mean, I did have legal experience when I was in San Francisco. I worked for law firms and big banks, and I started as a receptionist. I didn't just graduate from high school and go straight into working for a law firm or compliance. I started working as a receptionist for, it was called an executive search firm, and which was basically a recruiting agency, opening mail and things like that. And then I became a secretary, and then I became a legal secretary. And I was going to school at night as well, so I was one of those that had to work during the day and go to college at night. Took a paralegal class, legal research and writing and things like that. And that's what kind of got me into becoming a legal secretary. Legal secretaries at the time, and probably still now, very much just copying and filing and photocopying and, nowadays probably scanning and e-filing. So it's not just a go from school and in here, and then all of a sudden you're in an office environment. I've done mailroom, and you grow. That's what you have to do. You just have to take the little steps, dig into those roles and keep going. Sorry, everybody looks confused. So, so it's take those jobs and grow and learn. Yeah.
Sorry.
That's okay. Yeah.
I was listening to Miss Susan there. So this person says, good morning. I want to work with your guests. How can I contact her? So if you could repeat the information in relation to the company.
So the easiest one to remember is info INFO, at silocompliance.com. That's Silo, S as in Sam, ILO, Compliance, COMPLIANCE.com. You can also go to our website, silocompliance.com, and you can find more information about the system. We are about to do some rebranding and updating our website, so bear with us as we kind of get that up to date. But those are the best ways to reach out to us and to find us.
Okay, we do have another caller. Good morning, welcome to For the Record. Do you have a question for our guest?
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
Am I on?
Yes, you are.
Hello.
I kind of heard just briefly. I'm just on the way down, hopefully to work. I'm in tourism, by the way.
Okay.
And is the lady I'm speaking to, the lady you're speaking to, is that an expatriate lady or is that a Cayman lady?
I'm
Doesn't matter.
Expat.
I'm American.
Okay, good. You didn't say our island then. Oh, that's nice of you. Because normally they claim us right away. Oh, our island. They come here like a week ago. Anyway, I'd just like to ask also, because someone called in and said they're not afforded the same opportunities. That's not even a conversation in Cayman. Look around our island, an island that built itself with no offense to you or anyone else. An island that built itself, tourism, banking, everything. We pretty much built ourselves.
Yes.
All right, but I'm in tourism. I want to ask the host of the show, after 3 years of the world pandemic, someone planned this, world recession, and we're heading into another one right now, why is tourism that's supposed to represent the people that are still there in that nation, why is our tourism so filled with these locusts and leeches? That's what I call them. Because they have no contribution to our island. They know nothing about our culture.
Caller. I'm going to stop you there because we're talking about compliance now. If you want to talk about other things, we can talk about that when I don't have my guests in the studio and when I'm here, that I can answer that, or at another date and time. Now, if you want to talk about compliance, please do so. If not, we'll ask you politely to hang up.
Yeah, good day. Thoughts.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
caller. Okay, so moving on.
Okay.
So we're going to let's talk a little bit about the hosting of the symposium, which is going to take place on Friday. I think you mentioned it earlier about the guests, and if you could mention them as well, because I do recognize some local names,
exactly.
as well, some
I hope
Caymanian
so.
names in there, so that people will understand exactly what it's all about.
So, and one of the reasons why I'm here this week is because now I do work with customers from all over, not just Cayman. We've got Turks and Caicos, Belize, Bahamas. I mean, throughout the Caribbean, Hong Kong, and of course we're also trying to get speaking with different potential customers in the UK and like I said, the wider world. Cayman is, as you say, it's on the gray list right now, and the Cayman compliance officers here, they're really struggling because SEMA's coming down on them. There's lots of findings, and they're very frustrated. Some of them are very angry with I was fined 6 years ago, and now suddenly everything's wrong. And yet we're doing nothing different than what we did 6 years ago. If anything, they're doing more. And so I felt like, okay, there needs to be in the room. They can ask questions. They can get a presentation. They can kind of learn from these speakers. And we have 3 very, very good speakers. We have Lucy Frew from Walkers, and she is a very experienced regulatory attorney, been here for years. And she's going to give a presentation, again, beyond that whole beyond AML, compliance responsibilities, because there's a lot of different responsibilities, and some of the risks if you don't comply with these other regulations and requirements. Then we have SEMA, the Cayman Islands Monetary Authority, which is the regulator here in Cayman. We have Sarah Wheeler, who is speaking, as well as Rowan Bromfield speaking. So they'll be on stage giving a presentation about some of the recent findings of inspections, and some common errors or issues that we found when we did inspections, and then they're going to give some updates of what the people who are in the room listening to can do to make sure that they can improve their processes and stuff. And then we'll be finishing off with Andre Ebanks, your Ministry of Finance. I have never spoken to him, but I've heard very good things about him. I think he might be the one who's kind of working hard to try and get Cayman off the gray list. So,
Minister for Financial Services.
Yeah, kudos to him for all the hard work that he's putting in, and on everybody. I'm sure he's not just a one man show there. I'm sure there's lots of people behind him helping him out, and what the regulators are also trying to do. So he'll also be giving a presentation as well. We are almost booked up. We might have a few seats left. So again, if you are interested and you didn't get our invite, email info@silocompliance.com. Sorry, that's the email I'm going to be giving out to, and ask for availability for the symposium. Okay, on Friday. It's this Friday afternoon. Ask for availability about that. When I last checked, we had maybe 10 seats left. Wow. I really don't want to turn anybody away who really wants to go there. It is targeted for the smaller trusting company service providers, the asset managers, the wealth managers. We did not invite the banks because honestly, I feel like banks get so much attention.
Yes, they do.
As they should. I mean, I get it. So we did gear it to the smaller trusting company service providers and give them that opportunity. Now, they will not be able to ask questions live. You will have to submit your questions, and it might even already be too late to submit questions. Okay. The reason for that, and it was explained to me, and I understand this, they have to be careful with what they say in a public forum. It's very easy to put your foot in your mouth, say the wrong word, and then all of a sudden that can be used against you in a litigation. So, please don't go, if you do attend, please don't attend, wanting to trip them up or get them to say something that they don't mean to say. We're there to get information. We're there to learn. We're there to maybe also express some of our views or experiences and share that, and maybe we can learn from each other. So that's what the symposium is for. And so please, if you are interested in attending, it's info@silocompliance.com, and just ask for information about the symposium, and one of my team will of course get that to you.
Okay, we still have about 3 minutes before we go to our next break. The real estate industry in the Cayman Islands, I'd use an old saying, it's hot and heavy here in the Cayman Islands.
Yes.
Despite in some other jurisdictions where, we see that, the market is, a little bit soft at this point in time. Here in the Cayman Islands, we continue to see construction. We continue to see, sales. I was talking to someone who is a small realtor, and they have to be exposed to the compliance regulations and things of that nature as well. Can you speak a little bit about the real estate?
Yeah, and my heart goes out to the real estate agents, really, because again, what I've been kind of saying, they have to comply with the same regulations that the big banks do, and it's harder for them because they're not dealing with ongoing clients. They have what I refer to as really just a very big one-off transaction that might take a few months. So, but they have to do the same thing. They have to screen their customers, their clients against those sanctions lists. They have to get the utility bills and the reference letters and whatever that they're requiring. They have to have compliance manuals written. And again, going back to what I said earlier, you might have a compliance officer who that's not their only job. Because I think they may have to appoint a compliance officer as well. I think they do, but they also have to kind of check the banking details because they are now dealing with the big chunks of change and being transferred, and it's usually coming in from another country. Where is it coming in from? Where is that? What account was it? Did you OC buy the property but did the money come in from Kimberly? That kind of little nuances. Where did that money come from? Did it come from the U.S. Or did it come from some other jurisdiction that's got some higher risk? So they do have to be just as aware, if not more so, because the real estate industry is a money laundering tool. it's very easy to that's part of the layering process that people that the bad guys like to use, is get that criminal proceeds into the real estate industry, and then it looks cleaner.
Yeah, and the UK learned that quite a bit when they found out how many Russian oligarchs own property in London.
And it's London, it's the Miami, it's Vancouver. I'm reading a fantastic book right now, and it's called Willful Blindness by Sam Cooper. And it's about how the casinos in Vancouver and British Columbia were used to launder money, and then that shot up the real estate prices. Because so much money was being laundered through the casinos, and then of course they had what's called the triads, which are the organized crime out of China. Were just bringing so much money and into that area. The real estate prices shot up, and I'm sure it's the same in New York, Miami. I mean, that's the thing about what we call the bad guys is they have more resources than we do. And they're willing to pay 25% of their criminal proceeds to clean it. And that's nothing. And they're on top of all the different new methods and stuff like that as well. So the real estate is a high risk industry. And if you're a real estate agent or developer, expect to need to have to kind of show your work is how I like to say it.
Okay, we're going to take a commercial break. When we return, I know that you pointed out that you're not a lawyer, but I'd like to get your opinion on the whole issue of beneficial ownership, a register of beneficial ownership as well. I was reading an article in the Royal Gazette of Bermudan paper, and a lawyer there from one of their prominent law firms wrote an article and pointing out that what is being required now was something that Bermuda had in place years ago as well. But it is something that is still facing us here in the Cayman Islands. We are not certain yet what the whole impact of that EU court decision recently will have, and what the UK's stance will be on that, since being out of, as a result of Brexit, some of these decisions do not necessarily now apply to the United Kingdom as well. Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay. Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice-cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, Cayman.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
Grand Cayman's biggest one-day family fun day is back. The 54th Annual Agricultural Show at the Stacey Watler Agricultural Pavilion in Lower Valley. Ash Wednesday, February 22nd. Raffle tickets are on sale now. And for only $25, you can win $20,000 and so many other prizes. Raffle tickets include general admission to the show. For more information, visit them on Facebook or CaymanAgriculture.com.
You know what I love to do with my family? Go fishing. I can put the bait on and cast and reel the line all by myself. My mommy and daddy say when they were little, there were plenty more fish to catch. But now there are lots more people fishing, so it's harder to find them. That's why we have marine parks now. They set some areas aside so the fish there can have babies and grow bigger. Then they swim out to other areas where I can catch them. Having the marine parks means there will still be fish there when I'm grown up and fishing with a family of my own.
For more info, download the Cayman DOE app or visit doe.ky.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We still have some time with Miss Kimberly Smith, who is the founder and co-owner of Silo Compliance Limited. We're going to talk a little bit about beneficial ownership, but before we do that, for those of you who may be just joining us or joined us late and didn't hear the opening remarks about Ms. Smith's background, as well as her company, Silo Compliance Limited. I'm going to ask her to repeat that for the benefit of our listening and viewing audience as well, and also to repeat about the importance of compliance, how it has evolved, and how more Caymanians, if they're interested in the area of compliance, how they can get themselves certified, get themselves involved. If they're already employed, with a company, how they can go about, if they want to move up the ladder, how they go about that as well. Absolutely. As well as, encouraging companies to do their part to ensure that everyone gets a fair shake.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. So let's even go back a little bit. It's like, why do we even have the anti-money laundering laws in place and compliance laws? And again, just for those who are very, very new, the money laundering, that's that criminal proceeds, whether it's drug or human trafficking, even tax evasion in the U states. If you've got a criminal element in those finances and those proceeds, they have an advantage than compared to the good guy who's doing the right thing. And those drug proceeds could then be used to start up businesses and knock the good guys out of the market, kind of thing. Buy up properties, buy up the mansions, buy the nice cars. So you have this equality issue, and the world's going through this equality issue now, where suddenly you've got the very wealthy oligarchs who kind of raided, the state-owned businesses, and when they went private, I mean, this is, and then the kind of, then are starving out the hard workers, kind of thing, and prices are going up. So that's the reason for the kind of very basic, simplified reason for the money laundering regime. It's a greater good. It's what the goal is trying to achieve, is trying to stop money laundering, make it more expensive at least, because we'll never stop it. They're going to find just as many new ways to launder their criminal proceeds as we find ways to implement, ways to stop it. So that's the reason why it's a constant learning process as well. And so that's the reason for the regulations. It's not just governments going, we want to make it harder to do business, or we want to create jobs, things like that. That is the reason. To get into it, we've talked about, getting some certification. You don't have to have the certification to get into it. You could start very, what I call the junior entry level, which is, just the processing of the things like the passports and utility bills. Be very accurate about data. I mean, the accuracy of data, is very important. I can't have long fingernails because, when you're typing, you have to be very accurate. So being very diligent about accuracy and information accuracy is important. That being very organized is very important if you're getting into that role. Being willing to learn. It's not, well, I've always done it this way. You want to kind of get rid of that mindset because it's going to change every few years. Things are changing, and you have to look for efficiencies as well. If you're doing the same thing over and over again, can we automate this? You haven't to think in those terms as well. So there is again going back into you have to understand technology. You have to be willing to change and adapt with technology. It's there's a lot you can do to get into the role. And then you can kind of decide if you like it and get into the training, the more expensive certification training. And as far as you also, once you get certified, that's not the end of learning. You do have to keep learning as well. And again, going back to what our company's doing to do their part, I do hope that they are offering, scholarships for the certifications. I do hope that they are sending their staff, even junior staff, to conferences and trainings that they can learn. There is a requirement as well that all staff be trained relevant to their roles. So I hope that they are doing that, and I hope that they are encouraging the comedians to get into these roles, because it does offer so much more than just a good job. It is a fantastic and very interesting career, and it's a career that can also, they could go anywhere. Compliance is in every major jurisdiction. I think Antarctica probably doesn't have it. But it's in every major, if you want your young teenager to have a great career, it's a great career, but it's a career with a huge responsibility. Don't think it's an easy, you're going to be respected and off you go. You're going to have your fights. You're going to have your arguments. You're going to have your disagreements. You're going to have to stand your ground when you feel strongly about something. You have to be a strong, thick-skinned person as well. But you also have to be very respectful to cultural differences, especially here in Cayman when we're dealing with from people from all over the world. Understanding and learning about cultural differences. I'll never forget having an individual. They said their name was, Joe Smith, but then whenever I got all the documents, it was actually Joe Rodriguez Smith, something else, and I was, and I had to learn very quickly. Oh, that's how that particular culture uses their names, and he's not trying to fool me, kind of thing. And again, like I said, the cultural differences and naming conventions in the Middle East as well. Not everybody. Here's an example as well. And I was talking to somebody. I was dealing with a Middle Eastern client years and years ago, and one document had one date of birth, and another document had another date of birth. And of course, my red flags went up, and I thought, oh, forged documents, and had to do my research, and I realized, they have their way their culture is. Sometimes the date of birth isn't actually a few days until the date that it was some kind of ceremony that took place. So you're constantly learning. You can't just think, oh, well, this doesn't fit in this box, therefore they don't work, kind of thing. And so it's wrong. There's little things going on like that you're having to learn.
Okay, we're going to take a commercial break. Before we go, I'm going to just tell you, read this to you so that you can prepare yourself when we return to respond to it. This person has written and said, please ask Mrs. Smith if she feels that there is a level playing field for offshore financial centers when compared to onshore financial centers.
That's an easy question.
Has the compliance and due diligence world, especially for offshore centers, become too onerous, expensive, and overkill? Does this amount of red tape also apply to the onshore centers such as New York, London, Delaware, Zurich, Switzerland, etc.? So I'll read it back to you again when we return, but it'll be interesting. Folks, please stay tuned. The conversation with Miss Kimberly Smith, the co-owner and founder of Silo Compliance Limited. We'll be back.
JN Money, money touchdown. Send the money now, reach wow. You say you need some money, JN Money, I can send it in a hurry. Get through quick when you come collect your cash, or use a money card and swipe it in a flash. Send funds to any bank, yeah. Pay your bills quick, yeah. Low fees, you know what it, yeah. JN Money, we are pick, yeah. Send and receive funds at any JN Money location. It's fast, affordable, and convenient. Money touchdown with JN Money. Send funds to any bank, yeah. Pay your bills quick, yeah. Low fees, you know what it, yeah. JN Money, we are pick, yeah.
Call 345-945-2014 for details. Available at JN Money locations across the Cayman Islands.
We need to talk. Okay. We've noticed you've been going to KFC a lot more than usual lately. And
that's fine. We know you love it.
We just don't understand how you can afford it.
The KFC What a Deal menu, starting at just $3.50, gives you lots of great choices and value. Available at KFC Baytown Plaza, Shedden Road, and in the Strand. The KFC What a Deal value menu, the deal everyone should know about. Come to KFC and enjoy a variety of tasty choices at surprising prices.
KFC, it's finger-licking good.
Cayman Arts Festival 2023, from New York to London, landing in Cayman. 8 landmark events, global music on the island's stage. On Saturday, February 11th, 7 p.m. at the Westin Ballroom, the Juilliard Jazz Duke Ellington Ensemble. Tickets are available at www.caymanartsfestival.com. For more information, call 922-5550 or email inquiries at caymanartsfestival.com. Juilliard Jazz Duke Ellington Ensemble, Saturday, February 11th, 7 p.m. at the Westin Ballroom. Proudly sponsored by Butterfield Bank.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me this morning, Miss Kimberly Smith, who is the founder and co-owner of Silo Compliance Limited. There's going to be symposium, we call it, or workshop.
Symposium, yes.
Symposium on Friday, and she will give you more information about that. Seems to be almost fully booked already.
Yeah.
She has given us information about her company, Silo Compliance Limited, and what they do here in the Cayman Islands. Before I repeat the question that we received for her again, I just want to say, for the birthday shout-outs, even though we're past them now, Mr. Garfield Wong, he's celebrating his birthday. Also, I believe that Miss Yulita Flores and Gary both celebrate birthdays on the same day. I just don't want to get it wrong. If anyone knows, just give me a thumbs up or whatever in that regard. I don't want to miss someone, or otherwise I'll have to wish them a belated happy birthday when we, God's willing, come back on Friday. So, Mrs. Smith, the listener who first wanted to know whether or not you feel that there's a level playing field for offshore financial centers when compared to onshore financial centers. So that's the first portion of it.
That's an easy one. No.
Okay.
No, absolutely not. I think offshore financial centers, which I refer to as international financial centers, are they have such a much bigger burden on them. I can, as an American, I can sit on my couch, open up a bank account, apply for loans from my couch using my phone. I could not do that here in Cayman. It might take weeks, if not months, to get the bank account open. They'd have to do lots of due diligence. I don't understand why it takes so long. I don't understand what's holding it up. But yeah, it is. It's very much more strict. As a matter of fact, I even opened up a retirement account just a couple of weeks ago with a brokerage firm, and wrote them a check. Here you go, and I kept saying, do you need my ID? And they're like, no, we got it. Now, in the States, we have what's called a Social Security number, and they can run those Social Security numbers, and they can, and I think because of based on that, there's a lot of things that they can do behind the scenes that I, as the customer, am not experiencing.
But you can also obtain a fake Social Security number
absolutely,
in the US.
Absolutely. And you can also obtain a fake driver's license very easily, just online. Ask any college student that wants to go to the bars. It's that easy. So, as a matter of fact, speaking about that, we did actually have a college student intern a few years ago. We used they had a fake driver's license, and we used their fake ID to see if it would pass through, be kind of red flagged in a system, not our system, but a system we were testing, and it was quite interesting because it did pass. But what it did, when you took it to there was an app that bartenders use to kind of see if passports are legit.
Oh, okay.
And the free app that a bartender used flagged it, picked it out as a fake ID. And I thought, now that's interesting. But no, it's absolutely not. It's so much easier to do things onshore than it is offshore, and it's not just Cayman. The other jurisdictions also have all the same. They're just scrutinized more, and I think it's because there might be this attitude that if you're doing business in the Cayman Islands, maybe you're deemed guilty before you're proven innocent. It might be that kind of attitude. I don't take that personal stance.
Sure.
But yeah, so no, absolutely. It's much harder to do business here.
Okay, and the other part of the question also has the compliance and due diligence world, especially for offshore centers, become too onerous, expensive, and is it overkill?
Okay, so that's the bus about to run me over. Is it overkill? Well, I mean, this is the challenge. I mean, the FATF seems to think we're not doing enough. That's why we're on the gray list. What else can we do? So that's the hard part. I mean, I feel like here in the Caymans, it is very hard. I'll even give this example. Silo Compliance Limited is a Cayman Islands company. It has a vendor in the UK. We tried to pay that vendor after they provided the services to pay that vendor, and their UK bank would not accept our payment simply because it was a Cayman Islands company. And I reached out because they didn't say, is there any other way you can pay, because our bank won't accept the funds. I said, hey, look, I get it. We're an AML software provider. We will give you whatever due diligence you want. I can give you this, I can give you that. This is the information about who the shareholders are. This is the information about, where our money comes from, where the clients are coming from. And they said, okay, well, we'll take that to the bank and see if they'll clear it. A couple weeks go by, crickets, nothing. And then I finally chased. I said, hey, any word from your bank? No, it's blanket policy, nothing from the Cayman Islands because it's on the gray list. So if it's getting harder for us, if I can't, as a compliance officer, convince that UK bank to accept our money so we can use that UK vendor, then yeah, that's putting an obstacle in our way because we need that UK vendor. And so we now have to go find another way to pay that UK vendor until Cayman gets off the gray list. So Cayman has to get off the gray list. I mean, I can't impress that enough. Everybody realizes that. So it is getting more expensive to do business here. It is getting more frustrated. I've heard people say that they are actually losing customers to other jurisdictions because it's getting so onerous here to keep your Cayman service provider, happy with your due diligence, so yeah.
And that's even with legit business, because there are some who use the argument to say that, if you're legit and you have nothing to hide, then you have no problems providing, what is there. It's the ones who are questionable that are likely to go to other jurisdictions that make it easier. But that may not necessarily be the case.
No. I mean, we're legit.
Yes.
Our money's clean, and yet a bank in the UK won't take our money. And even things like, getting certain services and stuff, we have to provide so much information. I mean, obviously I come from the compliance background, so I mean, I know what they're going to ask for, or I anticipate, and, here you go. And well, yes, we'll fill out that form. But even some of the forms, we had one a few weeks ago that my business partner, who is a lawyer, very experienced lawyer, he was like, the wording on this just doesn't make much sense. So sometimes, the forms that we have to fill out, we're like, what are they asking for exactly? Whereas, I can get a law firm in accounting, service providers and stuff like that in the States, not a problem. It's just, here you go, we'll send you a bill, you pay it, kind of thing. Here I had to fill out so much information and provide so much information before I can even become the client or the customer. So yes, and that's harder when you're doing everything internationally, through Zoom calls. There are some fantastic technologies out there, and I think this is where the real struggle is. And I apologize if I feel like I might be offending anybody, but the reality is the regs have to catch up with technology. I can do things. The regulations here specifically say that you have to have a certified copy of their passport. Okay. Well, there's a technology out there where you just take a picture of my passport. That technology will confirm if that passport has all the right security features. Okay. And then I can do what's called biometric facial liveness testing. So it's actually, I have to move my face to make sure it's not, just, a fake image or I've stolen somebody's, ID off the internet or something like that. You can also, Zoom calls and stuff like that, where I'm on the phone with you, I can see your face. Instead of this, I can say then we've met face to face. I don't necessarily need you to fly here and be at my desk to do things. But that's one of those gray areas that we talk about, because when you then look at the actual wording of the regulations and the guidance notes, and suddenly you're like, well, can I accept that? That Zoom call is a face-to-face. Can I use this technology that's way faster and it can be done in 30 seconds, as opposed to having to have my client go get a notarized copy of the ID, and then that notarized copy doesn't have all the exact wording that the regulations are requiring, and then it's rejected and deemed insufficient, and it's kind of like, come on, guys, we need to catch up.
So do our regulators here know about these? Do they have consultations with the those that are affected by it to say, well, how can we improve? How can we make life much easier, and at the same time, be in compliance with the international best practice?
Yeah, I'm sure they do. I mean, you've got some very smart, intelligent people at the regulators, and I'm sure they do. It just seems to be taking a long time to get these consultations kind of done. It's as opposed to it really. Again, my personal feeling is that we should have had this issue on what some people call eKYC or the technologies that can be used to check passports and stuff like that. That should have been done a couple of years ago. Now, having said that, and maybe this is the reason why it's taking so long, there are flaws in technology. Sometimes you start using these technologies that you think it was doing one thing, it turns out actually it's not doing that. So maybe they were just kind of being a little bit cautious, trying to figure out, well, what are the flaws? How can that be used? Because technologies can be used by the bad guys too. But I think that technology is a lot better to use and more secure than getting a paper copy of somebody's photocopied ID, a passport. I think there's a lot more, but I do think they do know these technologies exist. But again, the technology is just moving so fast. Maybe they're like anybody, and just we don't know where, how to get it implemented or what wording to use in this the new guidance, or who knows. But to move it along a little bit faster would definitely benefit the islands. Like I said, I can sit on my couch in the States and open up bank accounts and apply for loans and credit cards and things like that in seconds. And we'll see.
Okay, and that was the other part of the question. It says, does the amount of red tape also apply in shore centers such as New York, London, Delaware, Zurich, Switzerland, etc.
Yeah, no, they seem to have. There's no red tape on shore.
Okay, we're going to take our last commercial break. So when we return, we're going to talk about your company again, talk about your symposium, talk about the services that you provide, and
you mentioned earlier beneficial ownership.
Oh, yes. We'll talk about that a little bit. And again, I'd like you to repeat your advice that you would have for Caymanians, young or old, wanting to get into the area of compliance, or if they're already there, as well, because you said it, to a certain extent, is almost limitless in terms of what you can do. And rather than just being stuck in that position that you are as a compliance officer, the ability and how they can go about spreading their wings as well. Folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
J and Money touching down again. Now you can send your US dollars at any location on island, including the BRAC. It's easy. Just walk with your US dollars. No need to convert to CI. This is another convenient service available at J and Money. They always find a way to make it easier and hassle-free. So remember, when you need to send your money and you only have US dollars, don't ever think of what to do. Just head straight to any J and Money location and send your money the fast, convenient, and affordable J and Money. J and Money, touching down again. J and Money, ranga to la friend.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay. Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, Cayman.
Whether it's routine care or highly complex surgery, when it comes to your health, you want the best. Health City has Cayman's most comprehensive range of in-house medical services. Recognized for quality and excellence, Health City brings together expert doctors, the best technology, and the latest techniques to understand your health and ensure you get the care you need. From Camana Bay to East End, you can trust the team at Health City. Health City, world-class healthcare within your reach.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We're on the last leg of the show this morning with Miss Kimberly Smith, who is the founder and co-owner of Silo Compliance Limited. Before we went to the commercial break, I sort of listed some of the things that we still want to talk about and speak a little bit about beneficial ownership and advice to Caymanians, young and old, who are in the compliance field, wishing to go into the compliance area as well. So
yes.
Over to you, Matt.
So we kind of ended the last segment about talking about, or wanting to talk about beneficial ownership. Mm-hmm. So the issue that's going on there, so beneficial owner is who ultimately owns and controls a company,
mm-hmm.
okay? Because companies are used as a layering tool for hiding criminal proceeds, and the issue is somebody sets up a company here in the Cayman Islands or anywhere else in the world. Well, who's actually owning it? Who's controlling it? And it could be that they are the direct shareholder, like I am a shareholder of Silo Compliance. But what if that company was owned by another company and that company was owned by another company and things like that? Then suddenly you're kind of going up what I call going up the chain, mm-hmm. trying to find out who really owns and controls this company. And again, that's called layering. And so because you might not know that it's the bad guy up here who really is what's called the beneficial owner. Now, the EU and also in the states, I don't know if people realize this, there's a new law in the states called the Corporate Transparency Act. And that comes into effect 1st of January 2024.
Okay.
And every company in the U.S. or that's registered in the U.S., they have to report their beneficial owners. So I have a U.S. company as well. I will be on the U.S. Transparency Act Beneficial Owners Register, and it will have my full details, my date of birth, where I live, and that right there is a privacy issue. Okay, so who has access to that beneficial ownership register in the U.S., here in the Caymans, there in the U.K., or in the EU? Who's going to have access? Now, the EU Court of Justice, they had a recent ruling, because people fought that. They said, I don't necessarily want everybody to know where I live and my date of birth. And the EU Court of Justice did, I thought wisely, said, no, this does not need to be public. There has to be some balance between transparency and the ability for law enforcement and tax agencies to see if somebody, who owns these companies, but then there has to be an ability to protect my personal information, because you don't want just any Joe Smith going and looking up. There's health and safety issues there. Yes. And in some countries there's kidnapping and extortion and things like that. So you have to be very careful. Some people do need their privacy, and so the EU did I thought wisely say it won't be public. It doesn't mean that you don't have to still provide your information to these registers. It's just not going to be public information for any Tom, Dick, and Harry, which is wise. And that's the way it's going to be in the States. So law enforcement and banks can access it to confirm. It's their way of verifying that whenever my company in the States goes and applies for a loan, that they can then go back to this corporate registry and confirm that I am indeed the beneficiary.
And what is that piece of legislation called again?
It's called the Corporate Transparency Act.
And 1st of January 2024?
1st of January 2024 is when it comes into effect. And it's very hefty fines, too. If you do not submit your details, you will get some pretty significant fines, like for every day. I don't know the exact specifics. So this is where that level playing field is starting to come. Okay, so yes, here in the Caymans, you have to registered agents have to provide beneficial ownership information to, I think it's the Ministry of Finance, and through a certain portal. Again, dealing with technologies and spreadsheets and things like that. The Turks and Caicos, BVI, Bahamas, they all have these as well. Throughout the EU, they have them as well. So I want to say it was Belgium. They were doing theirs public until the EU Court of Justice sent down that ruling, and they immediately pulled it out as well. So a big change there that everybody's having to stay on top of.
Okay. Advice to Caymanians, and then we're going to talk about the silo and what's taking place on Friday.
Advice to Caymanians. I say yes, please go get these jobs. This is fantastic. If you don't have the experience, get it. Get these entry level jobs. Even if it is just like a data entry job, because data is so important. It has to be accurate data. Get into the information systems and technologies and data analytics, because as you're getting into the bigger organizations, you're going to have to deal with databases. So don't shy away from technology courses. If you're going to college, I'll recommend having a good mix of technology. My own daughter, she studied information systems and data analytics, and that's what got her into some very good jobs there. So and go to these firms. I definitely recommend the firms do everything they can to provide scholarships and training capabilities or situations as well, in whether it's in-house or the ACAM certification. Again, it was expensive, and I think I had to pay for it myself, and sometimes that's a barrier to entry. And I think the firms need to realize, maybe the younger generations don't necessarily have, that money. So please do everything you can to get these scholarships, to available to people. But yeah, just you don't shy away from things like statistics. There's more math involved, because you're having to do this understanding the databases and if I've got 10% of my clients are high risk, is that good? Is that bad? Is that too many? Things like that. So there's a lot of analysis going on.
So you see it as a growth industry, and this whole issue of compliance is not going to go away.
No, absolutely not. It's only going to get worse and bigger. I say worse, but it's only going to get bigger and more complex. And again, so yeah, it's not going to go away at all, and it's going to rely a lot more on technology. So it's more than just being able to operate with a checklist, and it's more than task management. There's you really need to know your technology as well, and being able, again, also a little bit of paralegal, a little bit of law as well, because there are trained accountants and lawyers that are compliance officers, and those are the ones they have to do what's called gap analysis, because the laws in Luxembourg are different than Cayman and the U.S. and Canada and Hong Kong, and so sometimes, especially if you're working for a big multinational company or organization, you have to do what's called gap analysis and kind of see, all right, we need to write these big group policies that can be applied, it can be applicable to every single one of our offices in every single jurisdiction. Well, you need to make sure you're writing that so that it applies to Cayman, and we'll meet Cayman regs as well as Luxembourg as well as Hong Kong. And so there's a lot of analysis and research that's going on. It's not just a tick box exercise that a lot of people think it might be.
Okay, and finally, the symposium on Friday.
Symposium on Friday, we have Lucy Frew of Walkers. She's going to be speaking. We have Sarah Wheeler and Rowan Bromfield of the Cayman Islands Monetary Authority, thank you, also presenting, and Andre E. Banks, the Minister of Finance, he will also be giving a presentation as well. And we do encourage, if you are interested, please email info@silocompliance.com. Seats, like I said, we might already be booked up. For all I know, we are very, very close to getting booked up. If you are also interested in attending our webinars, again, just email that same. So there's 3 offerings going on.
Okay.
We've got the training on Friday morning, and that's with Karen O'Brien, Judith Watler, and Keisha James. They're doing a training program on Friday morning. It's $175 per person. But again, you can email that info@silocompliance.com. If you want to join our webinars, they are free. It's called AML Gray Matters. You can go on YouTube. You can go on our website. You can see some of the old ones. We talk about everything. Like I said, cybersecurity, human trafficking, the technical aspects of compliance. I've got John Tobin. He's a special agent with the FBI. He's going to be talking about the black market foreign exchange in March with me. We'll be talking about the mutual evaluation changes, methodology changes with Elizabeth Lees from Claritas. I've got cybersecurity expert guy coming on in February as well. So, and that's free. That's AML Gray Matters, GREY Matters, and the old ones are on our website, and that's at silocompliance.com. So again, those are free. So if you're kind of just interested in the space, just listen in. It's a great opportunity. And then the symposium, Friday afternoon, that's where we have Seema, Lucy Frew, and Andre E. Banks, but that's probably likely full.
Okay, Ms. Smith, I want to thank you very much. It was a
Thank
pleasure
you.
having you here as well. Folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman, and by extension For the Record, into your homes, into your vehicles, as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, wherever that may be. I also want to remind you that we are our brothers and our sisters' keepers. There is always someone out there who's less fortunate than we are, and I ask you to extend a helping hand to them. If you can't do that, then I suggest you donate to a worthy charity, because we always want to consider those who need, not necessarily those who want or even those who crave. So I say to you, have a great day. Continue to support your radio station, Radio Cayman. Join Sterling Dwayne Ebanks at 12:15 for Talk Today. And as usual, we ask the good Lord to bless these 3 beautiful, wonderful Cayman Islands.
For the Record, proudly brought to you by
Coca-Cola, available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga distributors. Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. Brand Source Home Gallery, inspiring luxury. West Bay Pharmacy, taking care of your health. And JN Money. From abroad to yard. Fast, affordable, convenient. Doctor's Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctor's Hospital, always there for you. Call 949-6066.
We give you honor and praise, adoration and glory.
Radio Cayman.
Praise time.
Praise him, praise him. Come and let's praise the Lord. Come and let's praise the Lord. Praise him in the morning and in the evening. Oh, let's praise the Lord.
Praise time in the morning.
Praise him, praise him.
Weekdays 6 to 6:30 a.m.
Radio Cayman, waking you up.
Rock my soul in the blues of my favorite. Rock my soul in the blues of my favorite.
Praise time.
I know he cares. He'll always be there. Oh, yeah. Praise him, praise him, praise him.
Praise time.
Set your clock for 6 a.m. or you will miss it.
Radio Cayman, the voice,
The heart,
the soul of